Never ready for that to end. What is going on, everyone? Welcome to episode 36 of the Reload Show. We should probably be better at counting, go back to third grade math here. Welcome to episode 36 of the Reload Show. With me today, Mr. Mark Sullivan, as always, at Approved with Mark. I am Sean Richard. I am I'm at the real Sean Richard. I need to update that. That's my fault. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you're checking us out on StreamYard, YouTube, thank you for being here. I'm excited for today's show today. What's up, Mark? How you doing, man?
What's going on, man?
It has been a crazy week. How about for you?
Oh, yeah. You know what? Yeah. I mean, I didn't go buying any houses this weekend or anything, but yeah, it's been pretty good.
Now, some of you who are regular watchers may notice that we are missing Candido today. Candido, I think he got COVID and he had to be medevaced to the hospital, and now nobody has seen him. So outside of that, if you know,
I think he's going to call in. I think he's going to call into the show.
Candido is on his way back from out of town. And so if somehow he makes it back in time, we might see a cameo. But other than that, Mark and I holding it down this week, and we're going to kick off the show today with our wins and losses, like we always do. So, Mark, why don't you get the ball rolling?
Yeah, honestly, as far as work goes, it's been hasn't been a super slow week, but it hasn't been a super busy week either. So finding wins and losses kind of has been a struggle. But I'm going to stick with my referral group that we've just got off the ground. I've spoken about in previous shows. We're really getting a lot of momentum there. We're getting a lot of visitors. We're getting a lot of people wanting to join our group, and the people that we have allowed us to be very picky in who we're accepting. And we talk almost every day. We send referrals out for each other like we're supposed to do. We're sharing each other on social media. It's been a really good group. It's something that I've always wanted to do. Again, I haven't done in many years, and it's proving to be a very good investment in time for me. So I'm going to call that a win. We meet again tonight, and we have about 30 visitors visiting us.
Wow.
This evening. So that's my win. Losses. It's
not all sunshine and rainbows, Mark.
Had a deal fall through. I struggle with calling that a loss because it's not really. I mean, it was because of inspections, right? I mean, it happens. They're still out there looking, and overall, I'm making my calls. And we are taking applications, so the deals will come.
That looks like a future win disguised as a temporary loss.
There you go.
Oh, there you go. All right. Well, this has been it for me. It's been a wild week. It's been just nonstop in so many different ways. So I'm going to start with my shitty moment of the week, and really, it's my loss for the week is my tracking. So I've been working really hard at staying consistent with tracking all of my numbers. And I think, for all of you loan officers and or real estate agents out there, I think you understand how important tracking is. If we don't track it, then we can't change it. And so I've really struggled with my tracking, keeping a daily log of exactly everything that I'm doing. So that way I can go back, review at the end of my week, and work on tweaking and improving my following week. So I've got to get back on track, and that'll get me going. But that's my loss for the week. My win for the week, and I didn't necessarily have a major win. So I decided to go out and make a win. So Sunday, I bought a house. My wife and I decided to buy a new investment property. Property kind of popped up on Friday evening, and we went and looked at it Saturday. We liked the home, thought it would be a great investment. Happens to be near an existing investment property that we have. So yeah, within Friday, I went to the office, regular day, and within 48 hours, I was under contract on an investment property to purchase. So crazy whirlwind of events, but sometimes that's how it happens. So my win for the week is we bought a new investment property, trying to make some more money. It's awesome stuff.
That's awesome. Congrats on that.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. So today we're kind of taking a little bit of I guess last week, Mark, we touched on this, if I'm not mistaken, and we're going to elaborate on this week. So I'm excited for this week's show, this week's topic, and we're really going to be diving into your associations, right? Like our associations, who we spend time with, who we have in our circle, and to some degree, like the amount of time that we give people. Because I believe, we all know time is the most valuable resource we have. We can't manufacture more time. And so where we allocate our time is pretty critical. So we're going to talk about, our circle, our sphere of influence, our associations. So Mark, kind of what are some of your thoughts? And, we can just kind of chat about it and keep this very conversational today.
Yeah, for sure. This is a really favorite topic of mine because, and I know most people can do this if they really sit down and think about it. But if you go through your entire the seasons that you've had through your entire adult life, start in your 20s and go through your 30s and 40s and depending on how old you are, maybe 50s or 60s, and look back and see how the changes that went on in your life were impacted by the people around you. Not only were certain job opportunities probably afforded you by people that were in your circle, but your viewpoints on life, your viewpoints on your industry, your viewpoints on many other things are all impacted by the people you surround yourself with. Like, does your circle constantly say there's no homes on the market, rates are too high, none of my offers are getting approved, and we can't make money in this market, and we can't succeed in this market? And if you're in those circles, you're probably one of the loan officers or real estate agents that are turning their license in or going out and getting other jobs. Or does the circle around you say, there's massive opportunity to buy in this market? You got to find the right people and educate the right people and show them the opportunity. Some people have an opportunity right now that to buy a house, then they may never have again, and depending on the outlook that you have, or hey, let's, your actions now are going to benefit you when rates do come down and there's a lot more deals on the table. It's just all about positive mindset, and who you're surrounding yourself with has a massive impact. I let myself get caught up into that speak probably going on a year ago, and it took me a long time to pull myself out of it because it feels good to make excuses. And it feels good for other people. It's easy, and it feels really great when other people agree with your victim mentality, right? You're like, oh, we just can't make money in this market. And then somebody else like, yeah, I agree. It's the market. It's not us. No, it can't be us. Right. And then that just snowballs. And I'll admit to have spent probably 6 months doing that. And it really had an impact on my business, had an impact on my production, had an impact on my happiness. So at one point I made a conscious decision. I was like, I'm only going to talk to people who are positive about this. Right.
Well, I think we thrive on validation, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of us thrive on validation and taking the mindset of being able to move beyond that validation. I mean, to your point, Mark, right? There's a lot of people out there like, oh, it's the market, it's the market, it's the market. And everyone who says it's the market, if they look around, they see someone in there, some of their peers winning and having success, right? So if it's the market, then how are there others out there winning during this really bad market? And it's really easy to, oh, well, they're doing it the wrong way, or they're this, or they're that. And it's a lot of like point and say, okay, well, it's them, it's not me. right? And I've gone through seasons of this as well, where I had to take a step back and say, okay, well, I'm not where I want to be right now. And I see other people around me that I may even be like, hey, I feel like I'm better at this than that person, but they're having more success.
And it's
And
easy to say they must be cheating or they must be doing something immoral.
well,
You know,
and
you hear
they
that
are
all the
doing
time.
something, and it's called taking action, right? And I think, that's a whole nother episode talking about action. But that's really what it boils down to for me. It's especially when we're talking about things like the market, it's taking action. But going back to surrounding ourselves with the right people, I'm a pretty big fan of Darren Hardy. If any of you out there know him, Mark, are you aware or familiar with?
Yeah,
Okay.
familiar.
So Darren Hardy, he used to be the I think the editor, editor in chief of, or publisher, Success Magazine. He's a success guru, and he wrote The Compound Effect, wrote The Entrepreneur Roller Coaster, probably a few others, and he has a great take on those who we surround ourselves with, and he talks about it in 3 buckets. He talks about it in disassociations. So taking inventory of who we surround ourselves with, and do we need to disassociate with some of those people, right? Do we need to say, hey, you're not a great fit for where I want to go, and I need to disassociate with that person. And then he talks about limited associations, and this is really interesting, because I've seen this in my life front and center. There are people that I can spend 3 minutes with, but I can't spend 3 hours with. There are people I can spend 3 hours with, but I can't spend 3 days with. And then there are people that I can spend 3 days or more with, and it's because they align not only with my values, but where I want to go. And I think that's really the kind of the message there is, what do you want for your life? And are you surrounding yourself with people that either have that or are well on the path to having that? If you want to be a good parent, might be a good idea to have friends that are good parents, right? If you want to be, wealthy and be successful in your business, in your industry, might be a good idea to surround yourself with people who are wealthy or successful in your or their industry. So those 3, disassociating, limited associations, and I guess the third one would be expanded associations, right? Like, who should you be increasing your exposure to, and keeping, allocating more of your time? What are some of your thoughts on that, Mark?
Yeah, no, I mean, I find it hard to disagree with anything you just said. I think I'd add to the topic that in my experience, the people that are so easy to be around, the people that you are so comfortable with, are likely not the people that we're talking about that you need to be spending more time with. It's, the really good friends, the ones that you're comfortable with, are likely, probably the people that are working against your goals a lot of times. And I don't have a better way to put that, so I'm just going to say it like that. But I find it better to be outside of your comfort zone with people. I prefer to I try to consciously surround myself with people who are where I want to be, and then it's a perk if they have different views than I do, or it's a perk if they see things differently than I do. Whether it's they do things in my industry that's different than what I do, and I want to be around them because I want to see what they're doing, because their point of view is going to completely shatter my negative point of view of that aspect of the industry. I like to surround myself with successful people that have different political or religious views than I do, because all of those things go to shape who we are and how we see the world. And if you can find somebody that's on par with you or better than you business wise, that sees the world in a different way, you are 100% going to grow from that if you're open to seeing it. Right.
Well, and Mark,
So,
I think I think you're 100% right. And I think those people that you're talking about, they're going to have a different view, right? Because
Right.
they may be doing the same thing you're doing at a 10x scale, right? And they might have a much wider view, a much bigger picture. So I agree with that 100%. They're going to have that different view.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's one thing that I think 40-year-old Mark is different than 30-year-old Mark um, is the ability to have those, to be able to see that, be able to surround myself with people that have different views in different areas of life, and be able to embrace the differences there. Not let it most likely doesn't impact my views, but I can see somebody else's. I can see the other side from a much different perspective than if I just would have formed it on my own, right? Can see it through the lens of somebody that doesn't see that viewpoint as being as bad as I do, right? And I think that's really important. I think that's something that we're missing because everybody's working from home. I'm literally only talking. There's some days where I only communicate, like, in person, communicate with my son. So we have to do things like we're doing here. We have to do things, intentionally reach out to the outside world, to be able to get better.
Yeah, that's 100% spot on. And, and so let me throw this out there. I'd love your take on this, Mark. So we're talking about the people that we surround ourselves with. And this is kind of an extension of that, in my opinion, but I really want your opinion on this. So with the world of technology and social media that we are absolutely bombarded with on a daily basis, would you include the people that we are following and engaging with on a regular basis on social media in that context of who we surround ourselves with?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if it has the ability to deliver a message to you in your subconscious, it's something you're surrounding yourself with. It's 100% is. Whether it's a video on TikTok, it's a video on Facebook, or it's a post, it's a long-winded rant or post on Facebook, or it's a negative or a positive interaction in the comment section somewhere. All of that is all of you're making a conscious effort to surround yourself with those people, whether it's good or whether it's bad, and it's 100%, probably more so now than ever, a part of that conversation.
Okay, so I'm gonna get some. I'm gonna put you on the spot, Mark.
Okay.
What are three people that you follow online that you would say have an impact on your mindset?
People that have an impact on my mindset is Rene Rodriguez. I intentionally follow him, just to have a good, a positive mindset going forward. He has there's a lot of other areas that he does very well in, but one of them is keeping kind of me grounded and focused on what it is that I'm doing, because most of his interactions is about positivity and growth.
Okay.
I like Grant Cardone. I like him because he's loud and obnoxious, and sometimes I need that in my life. But he has a lot of good points. People like him, people don't like him, whatever. I tend to like him, so I intentionally reach out, or I intentionally follow him, and things like that. And then different people in the community. I would say the third one is not going to be a particular person, but just industry leaders. I follow, to see if I want to continue following them.
Gotcha. No, I like that.
What about you? What about you in that regard?
Yeah, man. So I'm a big fan of Simon Sinek. I watch a lot of Simon stuff. I love his thought process. I think he's great. Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary V. That guy, he cracks me up a lot of times, but I love his attitude towards business, towards life. and the dude garage sales like a beast. So it's awesome. And then I would say the third one, I do like me some Rene Rodriguez, and industry leaders. There's a lot of mortgage industry leaders that I do follow. Alex Hermosi is probably another good one. I like Alex Hermosi. He's got a lot of great stuff. He's very kind of sales and lead and business building oriented with a lot of his content, versus say like Gary Vee and Simon Sinek, or more, almost philosophers to some degree, right?
Yeah, it is different how Hormozy puts things. If you follow him on a regular basis, what Alex does differently, or maybe better than the other names that we mentioned, is he puts things that we think are extremely complicated topics, and he makes them extremely straightforward and extremely easy. To after he says it, you think to yourself, man, that's a really easy way to look at that. And honestly, I don't have a better way to describe that, but that is 100% what he excels at. And I agree. I like Alex too. And I think all of these people that we mentioned are great to to follow, to keep your mindset positive. And again, those people don't know who I am, right? But they have a positive impact on my life, and they have, and without them, I would either struggle or need a different outlet to find that stuff. And probably somebody would fill that gap. But those are people that I surround myself that make me better, for sure.
Well, and one kind of further aspect of that I've read over time and I thought was really interesting was that you don't necessarily have to know someone for them to be your mentor. And I thought that was a really interesting concept because, like, for instance, if you're constantly following, maybe a public figure, and engaging with their content, absorbing the information, and allowing it to shape your life, would that not be a mentor?
Oh, for sure. For sure.
And so I thought that was a really interesting perspective when talking about mentors, because a lot of us, we think of mentors as, oh, my mentor is, my boss, or my mentor is I had a colleague that kind of brought me up in the industry or something like that. So, being able to have, I would say, multiple mentors, but they don't always have to be somebody that's physically present in your life, like that know you. And I think that's an interesting take on the whole mentorship conversation. Mark, man, what else can we add to the surrounding yourself with the right people conversation? What's another, is there one more thing that's really impactful to let our viewers know today?
I would say that to always be intentionally looking to improve that circle. And the topic usually is surrounded by who you need to cut out in your life, right? Where I'd make an argument where a lot of times those people would also, you could lean on them to teach you on what not to do or what mindset not to have. But it's always be open to the idea that somebody's about to come into your life that's going to fill that need, is going to act as a mentor, or act as a support, or act as somebody, have words that you can lean on to grow. And they honestly come into your life all the time. And if you're willing to be open to that, then I think you grow quicker. And I think I don't think there's a number. I think there could be 20 of them if that works. If there can be 30 of them, if that works for you, or if you're the type that wants small circles, there could be 3 of them. The number doesn't matter. It's all just surrounding yourself with the right words at the right time.
What really stuck out to me that you just said there, Mark, was intentional, right? Intentionally be looking for people to add to your associations. And I think, to piggyback on that, being proactive and being mindful, right? Like constantly taking inventory of who's in your circle. If you find that you always feel broke, you don't have any money, look around. Do you gauge the people that you spend time with? Are they also broke and don't have any money? Do they have bad spending habits? If you are, if you're constantly, like we talked about earlier, if you're constantly thinking negative thoughts, whether it's about yourself or the market or your job or whatever the case, your relationship, take inventory, be mindful, be aware, look around. Are the people that you spend time with, are they doing those same things? And so constantly being aware, being mindful, and being, as you put it, intentional about bringing the right people into your circle is, in my opinion, the most important part. Do we want to have an intentional life, or do we want to have a life that just happens to us?
Hit the nail on the head there. I could not agree with that more. And I think whenever you do find yourself in times of struggle and things like that, I think most people can look back and say, I'm here because I did or did not do this.
100%. All right, Mark, I've said all I have to say on this. I think we really hit the nail on the head on a number of different aspects of this. If you're out there checking us out, if you're watching this on replay, take stock of who's in your circle, find the right people that you want in your life that are going to help you grow, that are going to help you get to where you want to go. And it's going to make a profound impact on your life. So thank you to everyone that is tuning in today live. Thank you for checking us out on replay. Mark, as always, I appreciate you, man. You're in my circle for a reason. So is Candido when he's here. So I appreciate you. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in today. Have an amazing rest of your week. We'll be back next Tuesday at 11 a.m. Central, noon Eastern. Take care.
See you next week.